Attending the wedding of my boyfriend Damien's first love. The groom didn't show up. To save his first love from embarrassment, Damien stepped in as the replacement groom. As a scion of one of City A's 4 great families and a distinguished young entrepreneur, Damien successfully salvaged his first love's lost dignity. Amidst the officiant's blessings, the two exchanged vows with fervent gazes, as if this had always been meant to be their wedding. Everyone was marveling at the bride's charm, but I was below the stage, crushing a wine glass in my hand and downing an entire bottle. When I woke up, I saw a naked man beside me, his broad-shouldered and narrow-waisted body covered in dark bite marks. I covered my face with my hands. What have I done? I actually slept with Elliot, the head of the 4 major families in City A who never goes near women. And I've reduced him to this state. Awake? The man's deep voice rang out. I shuddered. I'm not a casual person, the man said, his voice slightly hoarse. I'll take responsibility. An hour later, staring at the marriage certificate in my hand, I felt a bit dazed. Just then, my phone rang. It was Damien. I casually hung up the call. Ex-boyfriend? Why aren't you answering? Elliot's cool gaze flickered toward me. I shivered slightly and blurted out, I'll answer later. Oh? He took off his coat and draped it over my shoulders. Sweetheart, you're a married woman now. His voice was calm, but I detected a warning, and a hint of jealousy. I looked up at him in astonishment. There's some urgent business overseas that needs handling. I'll likely be abroad for 2 to 3 months. Here's my house key. We'll hold the wedding when I return. With that, he got into the Kian already waiting by the roadside and drove off. Why did I sense a trace of reluctance in his gaze? I shook my head, must be the lingering alcohol making me see things. My phone rang again. Swiping to answer, Damien's voice came through, Natalie, why are you being so petty? I just couldn't bear to see Clara embarrassed, and you actually hung up on me? Seeing my silence, he added, Clara and I grew up together since childhood, she's like a sister to me. I couldn't just ignore her in that situation yesterday. I glanced at the marriage certificate in my hand. Damien, you don't owe me any explanations. We already broke up yesterday. Before he could react, I hung up the phone. I tapped open the video Clara had just sent me. She was half naked, while Damien passionately kissed her pale neck. The groom ran away, and even Damien ended up taking his place in the bridal chamber. Even though I was mentally prepared, I still felt a pang of bitterness in my heart. I wiped away my tears. Whatever, they'd be strangers to me from now on anyway. I took a taxi back to Damien's place to pack my things. Standing at the entrance of the luxury apartment, I tried the passcode several times, but each attempt returned an error. The alarm sounded, and the door swung open from inside. Natalie? Clara stood at the doorway, wearing my silk camisole. Damien changed the password to my birthday and cleared the previous fingerprints to make me feel at home. Oh, the password is... No need to tell me. I won't be coming here again, I said coldly. Hearing the noise, Damien also came over, his voice full of sarcasm. Weren't you just breaking up over the phone? Back so soon? Damien, don't talk to Natalie like that. She's already upset because you changed the password. Clara blinked her innocent eyes and tugged at Damien's sleeve. You're always so understanding. It's just a password, nothing to fuss about. Damien looked at her, his voice softening as he reached to adjust her slipping shoulder strap, casually giving her chest a playful pinch. Clara instantly flushed crimson and quickly stepped aside. Natalie, please come in first. She was acting like the lady of the house. Watching their shameless interaction, I swallowed my bitterness. I'll just pack my things. It won't take long, and I won't disturb you for too much longer. Is Natalie saying she doesn't want me here? Then I'll move out, Clara said, already starting to gather her belongings. Damien stopped her and turned to me impatiently. Natalie, I've told you already, Clara is just like a sister to me. That heartless Mason not only left Clara alone at their wedding, but he even changed the house passcode. Clara had nowhere to go, so I brought her here. Nowhere to go? Can't she just go back to her parents' place? I couldn't help but retort. How could she possibly return to her parents? All the neighbors know she just got married. Going back alone without her groom on the wedding day, what would people think of her? Damien stared at me incredulously, as if my suggestion was utterly unreasonable. How considerate you are of her situation, I said with a self-deprecating laugh. Damien, the whole circle knows we were about to get engaged, yet you let go of my hand in front of everyone and turned to marry Clara. Did you ever think about how I'd feel? Did you consider how others would see me? Damien looked somewhat guilty at my question. What do you mean, turn to marry her? I just couldn't bear to see Clara wronged. She's so delicate and fragile, not strong and independent like you. Those rumors won't hurt you. Once this blows over, we'll get engaged. I let out a bitter laugh. So just because I'm strong and independent, I deserve to be abandoned? Natalie, don't be angry. You haven't eaten yet, have you? Damien just cooked dinner, come sit down and try it, Clara said, reaching out to pull me over. It was then that I noticed Damien was wearing an apron, holding a spatula in his hand. The dining table was set with 4 dishes and a bowl of soup. In our 3 years together, Damien had never cooked for me. On the rare occasions when I playfully asked to try his cooking, he would always dismiss me with the excuse that a gentleman keeps his distance from the kitchen. My stomach is sensitive, so I can't eat takeout, and the housekeeper is on leave. Damien learned how to make all of these dishes just for me. They might not look perfect, but they taste pretty good. Try some, Clara said, handing me a pair of chopsticks. I ignored her and walked past her to go to the bedroom to pack some clothes. When I opened the bedroom door, a glaring red stopped me in my tracks. The bed was covered with the bright red bedsheet I had carefully selected, the pillows adorned with mandarin ducks playing in water that I had embroidered myself. A large double happiness character was pasted on the headboard, and even the dressing table held specially customized wedding candles I had ordered. Who told you to touch my things? I finally couldn't hold back and shouted at Clara. I've always loved classic things. I thought it would be incredibly romantic to have red candles burning all night on the wedding evening. Between work shifts, I'd embroidered 2 pillowcases myself. Now, all these things I had carefully prepared were strewn haphazardly across the bed, bearing witness to just how intense last night's battle had been. Back when Damien reluctantly helped me prepare these things despite his protests, his eyes were full of doting affection. All right, my little ancestor, whatever you say. His sweet nothing still lingered in my ears, but alas, the same words now came from a different person. Damien awkwardly rubbed his nose. Last night Clara was too upset, so I decorated the bridal chamber to cheer her up. We didn't. It's my fault. I was the one who seduced Damien. Natalie, if you want to blame someone, blame me. Clara cut him off, stepping in front of Damien with a look of grim determination. Damien, who had originally intended to say nothing happened between them, stared at her in shock. In the end, the protective instinct Clara stirred in him overpowered his shame. He pulled her behind him. It was me. I couldn't control myself. Natalie, you don't understand, last night's situation, that atmosphere. Blushing, Clara added cautiously, Damien and I were very careful last night. We didn't stain anything. You can still use them when you get married. Damien chimed in, didn't we get a small one as a gift when we bought the wedding candles? We can use that one later. Why should I have to use a freebie for my wedding, some second-hand item you've already used? Clara ran to the bedside and picked up a pillow to show me. Look, Natalie, we used the pillowcase last night, it's really not dirty. I stared at the large stain on the pillow, feeling a wave of disgust. Is she blind? Whatever. Since the things that mattered most to me have already been ruined, I don't want the rest either. I took a step back to leave, but she followed and accidentally knocked over the red candle on the dressing table. Ah! My foot. I looked down to see a drop of candle wax fall onto her foot. Hearing the cry, Damien pushed me aside and carried Clara out. So this was how he acted when worried about someone. I remembered once when I had gastroenteritis, the stomach pain turned my face pale. He'd held me just as anxiously then. Tears streamed down my face as a sharp pain shot through my hand. The candlestick had just sliced a long cut across my palm, blood welling up in a glaring crimson. The candle flame ignited the dangling bedsheet, and the fire threatened to spread. I stomped it out with my foot. The room was in complete disarray, just like my relationship with Damien. Clara rushed back after tending to her burns, her eyes reddening at the sight of the bedroom. Damien, am I destined to never find happiness? Abandoned on my wedding day, and then you appeared like a savior out of heaven. Now the bedsheet is burned, the red candles extinguished, does this mean you'll leave me too? Her tears kept flowing uncontrollably as she spoke. Damien held her in his arms, his heart aching, and whispered comfortingly, I'll never leave you. Completely disregarding my presence. Watching their intimate display, I let out a cold laugh and stepped past them to leave. I never should have come here in the first place. Perhaps my expression was too resolute, because a flicker of panic crossed Damien's face as he reached out to stop me. Natalie, don't go, I was just. During the struggle, my handbag fell to the floor. Clara quickly picked up the marriage certificate that had fallen out. What's this? She asked. I reached out to snatch it back, but she nimbly jumped aside. When she saw the names Natalie and Elliot on the certificate, she covered her mouth with a light laugh and handed the marriage license to Damien. Damien took just one glance, and the panic on his face was instantly replaced with mockery. Natalie, so this was your plan all along? If I hadn't pulled you aside just now, how were you going to make sure I saw this? He thought I'd deliberately arranged for him to see it. He took the marriage certificate, examining it left and right. I have to admit, it's a pretty good fake. Must have been hard finding a seller like this. Did you spend all last night out forging this? Natalie, forging documents is illegal, Clara reminded me. And even if you wanted to make Damien jealous, you should at least pick a plausible person. Elliot, the head of the top family among a city's 4 great clans? Natalie, you've got some nerve even imagining that. Besides, Elliot went abroad yesterday afternoon. He said wedding gifts the day before Mason and I got married, saying he wouldn't attend the evening banquet. There's no way he could have married you this morning. Clara struggled to suppress her laughter. As if I were some kind of joke. No wonder Elliot seemed in such a hurry this morning. Elliot is famously known for keeping women at arm's length. He despises being embroiled in scandals. Last time a female celebrity deliberately got close to him for photos and posted about it, he cut off all her resources in a fit of anger. Clara's face showed a flicker of fear as she mentioned this. Could it be that she had also contemplated seducing Elliot before? Natalie, your uncle and aunt kindly took you in and even groomed you as their successor. Don't drag them into this. When Elliot's name came up, Damien's expression seemed tinged with apprehension. That's right. Elliot is notoriously known as the cold-faced judge. He acts swiftly and decisively, just a snap of his fingers could knock the Pembertons out of the 4 great families. Before anyone finds out about this, you'd better destroy this fake certificate quickly. Clara kindly reminded me. You don't need to worry about that, I said, snatching back the marriage certificate as I walked out. Natalie, if you want to die, don't drag us down with you. Damien shouted furiously behind me. Even if you really got married to someone else, I don't care, he added viciously. I slammed the door shut with a bang, leaving that wretched pair trapped inside. Recently, my uncle handed over a branch company for me to practice managing. With work keeping me busy, I pushed Damien's matters to the back of my mind. Damien hadn't contacted me either, he was too busy honeymooning with Clara. I blocked Clara and Damien, throwing myself completely into work. While signing a contract with a client and writing down the date, my heart suddenly skipped a beat. After seeing off the client, I rushed to buy a pregnancy test. As expected, the test showed 2 clear lines. My emotions were complicated, so I decided to go to the hospital for a blood test to confirm. What if the test was wrong? But while waiting for the results, I unexpectedly ran into Damien and Clara. Damien sneered disdainfully. Natalie, you just can't seem to disappear, can you? What, couldn't handle being ignored for a month? Had to chase me all the way to the hospital? Clara cautiously protected her belly while tugging at Damien's sleeve. Damien, don't talk like that. Natalie just missed you so much she came here. I posted about our prenatal checkup at the hospital today. I didn't know Natalie could still see it since I thought you'd blocked me. Blocked? She's just pretending. Who knows how many alt accounts she's using to stalk our lives, Damien said with undisguised contempt. Prenatal checkup? I ignored Damien's sarcastic remarks and focused on the key point in Clara's words. I'm pregnant, just 1 month along, and it's Damien's. Clara said in a low voice, blushing as she spoke, while leaning into Damien's arms. Damien carefully protected her and coldly said to me, now that you know, go learn how to be a nanny. Clara doesn't trust outsiders. If you serve her well, I might still consider marrying you. I stared at him in shock, as if looking at a fool. Does he even know what he's saying? Just then, my test results came out. Sorry, can't serve. I'm pregnant too. What? Damien snatched the test results from me, his face darkening as he read them. 4 weeks pregnant? Natalie, are you that desperate? Damien roared. He'd remained celibate for Clara's sake and hadn't touched me in over 6 months. The child couldn't possibly be his. Clara covered her mouth, gasping, Natalie, you didn't go find some random man on Damien and my wedding day, did you? After how much Damien loved you. How could you betray him like this? Clara acted so righteously indignant, anyone who didn't know better might think she was some champion of justice defending what's right. I watched them, feeling nothing but exhaustion. The outcome was already clear to me. If he wanted the test results, he could keep them. I turned to leave, but Damien grabbed my arm forcefully. You're not going anywhere. Explain this child's situation to me right now. Just then, a tall figure suddenly stepped forward and punched Damien in the face. Why should my wife explain her pregnancy to you? I turned to see who it was. Elliot? My love, I'm sorry, I'm late. Elliot looked travel-worn and weary. Weren't you supposed to be gone for 2 or 3 months? How did you return so soon? I missed you too much, so I worked overtime to finish everything. What do you mean, my love? Explain yourself clearly. Damien stepped forward, glaring at Elliot. Elliot ignored him, looking down at me. What, didn't you tell your ex-boyfriend we got our marriage certificate? Wait, that certificate is real? Clara was the first to react. So, Natalie, you actually betrayed Damien? Her big eyes filled with disbelief, as if she pitied Damien deeply. What do you mean by betrayal? Let's not spread nonsense here. Natalie and Damien broke up at your wedding, he married you, and Natalie married me. Where does betrayal come into this? Elliot's voice was calm but carried an authoritative pressure. Clara involuntarily took a step back. The breakup was just Natalie's one-sided claim, I never agreed to it. Damien argued. If you hadn't broken up, why didn't you go back to Natalie after the wedding? And why did you still proceed with the wedding night and honeymoon? Elliot flung out a stack of photos. The photos showed the two of them wearing the wedding attire I had prepared, drinking the ceremonial wine in front of the bed, sharing passionate kisses, and various moments from their recent honeymoon. I sneered, apparently even the formal dress I'd locked in the closet had been taken out and worn. Damien turned pale and looked at Clara. I just posted it on my alt account, trying to remind myself that someone loves me too. Her eyes reddened again as she spoke. This time, Damien didn't comfort her. I glanced at photos from their honeymoon, Dutch windmills, Hawaiian beaches, the northern lights. They'd traveled the whole world. Damien was extremely career-driven. Back when I begged him to go out with me, he'd always refused, claiming he was too busy. It turns out he wasn't busy, he just didn't want to go out with me. Thankfully, I don't care about any of that anymore. Natalie, let me explain. I just took Clara out to cheer her up because she was so upset. Such a feeble excuse, even he didn't believe it as he said it. Let's go. Both our families know we're married now and are eager to see us. Elliot supported me carefully, as if I were some priceless treasure. Natalie, do you really think Elliot loves you? He's just after your Pemberton family connections. Damien suddenly shouted from behind me. Damien, look at this. Clara handed her phone to Damien. Haha, the Pemberton family's biological daughter has been found. You're about to be kicked out of the house. Do you really think Elliot will still accept you? Damien burst into hysterical laughter after reading. I frowned slightly and turned to look at him. What biological daughter? I'd never heard that my uncle and aunt had any children. Damien held the phone in front of me. It was an announcement on the Pemberton family's official website, stating that their biological daughter would return to claim her heritage, and a banquet would be held a week later to introduce her to everyone. Watching Damien's smug expression, I gave Elliot a puzzled look. Let's go back and check first. Elliot held my hand, his gaze tender. It's you I love, never your family name. His voice carried a calming reassurance. Beside us, Clara clenched her fists, her face twisted with jealousy. Watching us leave, Damien shouted furiously behind us, Natalie, after being abandoned, don't come begging me. A week later, the family recognition banquet took place as scheduled. My uncle and aunt were busy greeting guests, while I wandered around the banquet hall. Natalie sure has a big heart, still in the mood to eat, Clara said as she walked toward me arm in arm with Damien, just as I picked up an exquisite small cake. You've occupied the magpie's nest for so many years. Now that the Pemberton family's true daughter has returned, there's no place for you. Beg me now, and I might consider letting you be the other woman, Damien said with a smug, contemptuous look. Looking at him like this, I even began to doubt myself. How did I ever fall for him in the first place? The night I got back from the hospital, I unexpectedly received a message from Clara. Don't think Damien's behavior today means he loves you. Listen to this. I clicked on the voice message she sent. It was a conversation between her and Damien. Damien, if you don't like Natalie, why are you still with her? The Pemberton family is one of the 4 major families in City A. Only by allying with the Pembertons can our Davenport family secure the top position among the 4 families as quickly as possible. Once the goal is achieved, Natalie will be at my mercy. What is Elliot anyway? He'll have to grovel at my feet too. Damien's voice was filled with viciousness. See, this is the real reason he's with me. He keeps hurting me for Clara's sake, relying solely on the fact that I love him. Now that the Pemberton family's biological daughter is about to be found, naturally I'll be discarded by him. His pursuit of me was just a scheme from the beginning. I first met Damien at an entrepreneurs conference. Having taken over his family business right after graduation, he was invited as one of the city's outstanding young entrepreneurs to speak on stage that day. His comprehensive and forward-thinking speech won him several orders on the spot. I, who had accompanied my uncle to the conference, was also drawn to him. My uncle took the opportunity to introduce me at the meeting, explaining that he and his wife had no children, and their family business would eventually be inherited by their niece, Natalie, that is, me. After that day, Damien pursued me relentlessly. After we got together, my uncle didn't think highly of him, saying that while he was capable, he was too eager for quick success and instant benefits, and his methods seemed somewhat unscrupulous. Sooner or later, he would pay a heavy price for it. I refused to listen, believing that young people should be spirited and charge ahead without hesitation. Yet reality proved my uncle right. I snapped back to reality and looked at the smug pair before me. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you both. With most guests having arrived, my uncle and aunt called me over. A week ago, when I returned home from the hospital, they had already revealed the truth to me. Holding my hands with kindly expressions, the words spoken were like a thunderbolt out of the blue, stunning everyone present. Natalie is our biological daughter, Uncle explained under the shocked gazes of the crowd. When Natalie was little, she fell seriously ill and nearly didn't survive. In our panic, her mother and I consulted a fortune teller out of desperation. The master said her fate was too fragile, she couldn't call us mom and dad, and needed to use different terms of address to grow up safely. She could only change how she addressed us after marriage. Now that Natalie is married, it's only natural she can call us properly. We're holding this dinner to officially announce that Natalie is the true heiress of the Pemberton family. Dad emphasized this because ever since I was little, people in City A had always looked down on me, all because my uncle and aunt had no children of their own, leaving me, their niece, to pick up the scraps. Mom and Dad looked at me with relief, as if my growing up safely and soundly was truly the result of me calling them uncle and aunt. Getting married? Someone questioned in disbelief. Everyone remembered how, just a month ago at Clara's wedding, Damien had abandoned me. How could I possibly have found someone else so quickly? Damien, who was being watched by everyone, stood frozen in place with a deathly pale face, still struggling to process my father's words, murmuring repeatedly, "How is this possible? Natalie and that boy Damien were just fooling around like kids, they were never actually together," father said dismissively with a wave of his hand. "My son-in-law has always been Elliot. Elliot, come here quickly, let everyone see my distinguished son-in-law." Father beckoned to Elliot, who had just entered. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. But didn't they say Elliot doesn't like women? Exactly, all these years, even his secretaries have been male. With the Pembertons marrying into the Sterling family, the position of the four great families in City A becomes even more unshakable. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Elliot came over and wrapped his arm around my waist. "I pursued Natalie for over a decade, and now I've finally gotten my wish. Natalie is exceptional in her own right, she doesn't need to rely on anyone. The Pemberton family will stand firm under her leadership. Besides, she snatched quite a few projects right from under my nose before." With just a few words, he placed me on a pedestal. Suddenly, I thought marrying him might not be so bad after all. Natalie just found out she's pregnant. I'll take her downstairs to rest first. Elliot nodded politely at everyone around us and, after getting my parents' permission, prepared to leave with me. "Wait." Damien called out, his face pale. Clara beside him anxiously tugged at his sleeve, only for him to shake her off abruptly. "Natalie, how could you abandon our 3-year relationship so easily? If you hadn't been pregnant with Elliot's child, why would I have stormed off and left you at Clara's wedding out of spite?" Damien turned the tables on me. "I don't care whose child you're carrying. Come back to me, please? Let's stop this foolishness." Damien spoke through tears, as if he were the wronged party. The crowd looked at me with contempt, as though I really had abandoned him to chase after someone better. Although the Davenport family can't compare to the Sterling family, they are still one of the 4 major families in City A. Damien is a talented young man, and what Natalie did is really unfair. Someone spoke up for Damien. Even though Dad denied my relationship with Damien, everyone present was sharp enough to know we'd been together for 3 years. Mom and Dad's faces darkened on the spot. I nearly laughed out loud at Damien's sheer shamelessness. Elliot's gaze turned icy as he stared coldly at Damien. "Do you know why Mason didn't show up at his wedding with Clara?" A flicker of panic crossed Clara's face. With a wave of Elliot's hand, the large screen at the front of the hall displayed scandalous footage, showing Clara and Damien locked in a passionate kiss in a grove, Clara half-naked and gasping, "Damien, you're the only one in my heart. Marrying Mason was my parents' doing. I've never let him touch me." "I know. We grew up together, I understand you perfectly. After the wedding, remember to pass me business secrets from both families now and then. Once the Davenports become the most powerful family in City A, we can be together forever." Damien responded to her, but his hands never stopped moving, drawing a series of delicate gasps from Clara. "Damien, be gentle. Don't let anyone hear us." The sounds that followed were too indecent to bear, so Elliot cut off the feed. "You slut. You were so wild in bed, yet you kept saying you'd never let me touch you." Mason suddenly appeared after being gone for a month. "To prove your loyalty to me, you even leaked the Davenport family's bid to me, claiming your heart belonged only to me. You were just playing both sides." Mason's eyes burned with fury. But my family earned our position through genuine capability, we'd never stoop to such tactics. Seeing Mason's devastated expression, he must have truly loved Clara once. What a pity she ruined everything herself. Clara scrambled forward on her knees and clung to Mason's leg. No, it wasn't like this. Mason, Damien forced me. My family's just a minor supplier to the Davenports, if I didn't comply, he threatened to terminate our contract. I had no choice. You lying bitch. Haven't we given your family enough orders? This was pure greed. Damien stepped forward and kicked Clara in the stomach. When have I ever threatened you? Wasn't it always you who came crying to me on your own? I just went with the flow. As he spoke, he turned to me. Natalie, she was the one who seduced me. I'm just a normal man, Suddenly, I felt nauseous. Elliot quickly steadied me. Security, throw them out. After this commotion, Damien and Clara could forget about making a living in City A. What was meant to be an elegant dinner party nearly turned into a farce. Thankfully, Elliot kept the situation under control. A month later, the wedding was prepared by Elliot in a classic and antique style, with even the wedding gown being a classically hand-sewn piece. Every detail was meticulously arranged by him. My parents teased me. I heard Elliot researched the wedding etiquette of princesses from every dynasty. But our Natalie has always been our little princess, so it's thoughtful of him. My face flushed under my parents' teasing. So this is what it feels like to be loved. One morning after our wedding, I woke up in Elliot's arms and suddenly realized something. Elliot, tell me, had you been investigating Damien and Clara all along? Elliot pretended to be asleep. Did you scheme against me on purpose by sending those videos to Mason the day before the wedding? To make him jilt me? I shook him. I know you're awake. Elliot rolled over and hugged me. What do you mean scheme? Mason and I grew up together, I couldn't just stand by and watch him get deceived. Even if I did scheme, if Damien had firmly held your hand at the wedding, there'd have been nothing I could do. He put on an innocent face. Even if Damien hadn't replaced Mason at the wedding that day, I suspect you had a backup plan ready. I shot Elliot a sideways glance, only now realizing how scheming he truly was. My dear knows me so well. You're someone I've held in my heart for over a decade, how could I stand by and watch you throw yourself into a pit of fire? Over a decade? You heartless little thing. Don't you remember when those school bullies targeted you in middle school? I escorted you home every single day. Hearing this, I gave an awkward smile. Elliot had always been aloof since childhood. Back then, when he followed me around every day, I thought I must have offended him and would run home anxiously after school, fearing for my safety. As for the local bullies, I never really noticed them, probably because he scared them all away. Later, my family expanded our business overseas. I planned to confess my feelings to you once the market stabilized, but I didn't expect Damien to beat me to it. His voice was thick with regret as he spoke. A pang of inexplicable heartache struck me. If he had treated you well, fine, but how dare he chase you only to waver afterward? Then don't blame me for taking you back. So that night you took advantage of me being drunk? I deliberately said with a sad tone. To my surprise, he immediately sat up from the bed, looking serious. I didn't mean to take advantage of you. You were the one hugging me while laughing and crying, getting snot and tears all over me. I had to take off my clothes, and then you started biting and nibbling on me, even tugging at my pants, and… Stop. Stop talking. I lunged forward to cover his mouth. My memories of that night were hazy, but I vaguely remembered forcibly taking off his clothes and pushing him onto the bed. It's all because of that bottle of wine, I quickly defended myself. I'm actually quite grateful for that bottle of wine, he said with complete seriousness. Don't mention that incident again. I shouted, my face burning with embarrassment, it was utterly mortifying. All right, I won't mention it, Elliot replied, barely suppressing his laughter. After my family recognition banquet, the Davenport family became the target of the other three major families. They soon declared bankruptcy. Clara lost the baby after being kicked by Damien, and because she had offended Mason, her parents kicked her out of the house. Mason fled abroad again due to heartbreak. After hearing this, I sighed. I never thought he'd be so devoted. Devotion is useless if you lack brains. If you can't even see clearly the people around you, you deserve the heartbreak, Elliot said with disdain. I stared at him. I'm definitely not talking about you, honey. It's all because that scumbag Damien is so cunning, and my wife is so innocent and kind-hearted, she accidentally got deceived by him. Elliot reacted swiftly, full of survival instinct. I snorted coldly. Honey, I was wrong. I should have confessed earlier, should have made Damien's family go bankrupt sooner, and shouldn't have given Damien any chance to get close to you. That's more like it. Beside them, Elliot's secretary had a bewildered expression. Was this still their cold-faced CEO? On my daughter's 100-day celebration, our family went to a hotel for the festivities. Just as we entered the lobby, the manager approached us. When I saw who it was, I froze. Damien? A professional smile was plastered on his face, but it couldn't hide his exhaustion. He stood slightly hunched, his posture deferential. When he spotted me, he too was stunned. Natalie? Elliot stepped in front of me and spoke coldly. Waiter, where is the Hyon Hall? A flicker of humiliation crossed Damien's face before he could respond. But a nearby attendant quickly intervened. This way, sir. I'll lead you there. Elliot wrapped his arm around me as we walked past him, jealousy written all over his face as he warned, don't look at other men. Just as we reached the Hyon Hall, the sound of a commotion nearby caught our attention. You bitch, how dare you seduce my husband? A woman dressed in wealthy attire was beating a young woman on the ground with her entourage. The young woman looked up, pleading for help from the pot-bellied man beside her. The man weakly glanced at the wealthy woman and muttered, stop hitting her. Glared at by the wealthy lady, I obediently stood aside and didn't dare speak again. The woman's screams quickly drew the staff's attention. Only after the wealthy lady was pulled away did I clearly see the woman's face. Clara? What a small world today, everyone I'm running into turns out to be old acquaintances. Elliot forcibly turned my head away from the spectacle, his voice brimming with possessiveness. Don't even look at other women. I couldn't help but laugh softly, kissing his hand as I resolved to love him properly from now on, so he wouldn't feel so insecure. After the banquet, when we returned home, Elliot was completely focused on coaxing our child. Watching him, I complained discontentedly, you're hogging our daughter all to yourself. Suddenly feeling annoyed, I retorted petulantly, fine. Next time we'll have a son, one each. The moment I said it, I regretted it, because Elliot lifted his head and started walking toward me, his eyes gleaming with desire. Sounds good, so when should we start making that happen? I swallowed hard and turned to flee, but he grabbed me and trapped me in his embrace, his warm breath brushing against my face. Natalie, I've been waiting for this day for so long. I felt the room temperature rise instantly. He tilted my face up, forcing me to meet his gaze as his lips slowly descended. My eyes closed involuntarily. Oh my, I didn't see anything. Carry on, carry on. Little one, you're sleeping with Grandma tonight, Mommy and Daddy are busy making you a baby brother. Out of nowhere, my mother materialized, walking past us without so much as a glance, scooped up the baby from the stroller, and vanished in an instant. I stared at Elliot in shock, still trembling. He smiled faintly and said, let's continue. With that, he scooped me up in his arms, carried me into the bedroom, locked the door, and threw me onto the bed before pressing down on me. Last time, you took the lead, he murmured. This time, it's my turn. Yes, because of the pregnancy, this was only our second time. I never expected Elliot to have such stamina. I lost track of how long it lasted. At some point, I lay there staring lifelessly at the swaying crystal chandelier on the ceiling. Every time I begged him to stop, he would complain indignantly, you tormented me all night that time. If I had known it would come to this, I would have been gentler that night a year ago.